Okay, today we're going to talk about section 8.5, combining like terms. First, let's take a look at some examples of what like terms are going to look like. So let's scroll down here. Okay, on this first example right here, we have some like terms over here. We have 3x and negative 9x. Those are like terms because they're both x terms. Another example would be negative 16a and a over 3, which is the same as 1, because there's really a 1 right here, 1/3 a. And again, those are both a terms, so they're going to be like terms. Remember, like terms are the same variable and the same exponent on that variable. For example, if you look at the p squares here, they both are p to the second and p to the second, so they're going to be like terms. Another example would be x squared y and 12x squared y. They both have a second power on the x and a first power on the y. Second power on the x and a first power on the y. So they have the same variables and the same exponent on those variables. So they're exactly alike and they're like terms. An example of an unlike term would be over here where we have x squared y and 12xy squared. The exponents are different. We have a 2 on the x and over here we have a 1 on the x. We have a 1 on the y and a 2 on the y. So those would not be like terms. Another thing you have to be careful of is you can never combine a variable and a number. 5x literally means you have 5 x's, and 5 just means 5 ones, and those cannot be combined together. A variable and a number are not like terms. So like terms, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent on that variable. All right, let's look at some examples now where we are actually combining the like terms. We're not just determining if they're like terms, but we are combining the like terms. All right, on example 1 here, we have 5n minus 3n. Well, that simply means we have 5 n's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to subtract 3 n's. We're going to take 3 of those away, and of course we would be left with 2 n's. So when you're combining like terms, all you are doing is looking at the coefficients or the numbers in front, and 5 minus 3 would give me 2. So 5n minus 3n is 2n. Another example is negative 8x and negative 3x is negative 11x, because negative 8 and negative 3, you add them together because they're like signs, so that would be negative 11x. Another example, 4y minus 10y, that's the same as 4 and negative 10, which is negative 6y. In this last example, on example 1, we have 4p minus p. Well, p means 1p. Well, 4p minus 1p is 3p. Some more examples we have are down here on example 2. We have negative 2a and negative 11a. That's going to combine to give us negative 13a. We have 6x minus 4y. You have to be careful here because these are not like terms. This is 6x's and this is 4y's. Those are not going to combine together in any way. So you can write cannot be simplified. Also, s minus 11 cannot be simplified because those are not like terms. You have 1s and 11 negatives. It doesn't make any sense to combine those together, so it's just s minus 11 or cannot be simplified for the answer. All right, and this last one down here, negative 7p minus negative 6p. Remember to always watch your signs and remember that two negatives make a positive. So this is really negative 7p plus 6p, which is negative 1p or negative p. Okay, let's look at an example now. We have multiple like terms. All right, example 3. We have 18y minus 4 plus 6y plus 5. We have to pick out our like terms. Of course, we're going to have y, the 18y here, and the 6y. Those are like terms because they're both y terms. Now remember to take the sign in front. The plus 6y means a positive 6y. So that's just 18y and positive 6y, which is 24y. Now let's look at our numbers. We have negative 4 and positive 5. Well, they're different signs, so you subtract and take the sign of the larger number, so it would be a positive 1. And we indicate that it's positive by putting a plus 1. So our answer would be 24y plus 1. You cannot combine those together because you have a y term and a number 1, and those are not like terms. So that would be your answer, 24y plus 1. Let's look at this one over here. We have negative x. Now negative x, remember, that really means negative 1x. And then we have negative 1y, negative 3x, and positive 7y. So we're going to go through and pick out our like terms. We have negative 1x and negative 3x. Negative 1 and negative 3 is going to give us negative 4x's. And we usually write our answers in alphabetical order in algebra, so we're going to combine the x terms together first. Now let's look at the y's. On the y's we have negative 1y and positive 7y over here. You see that's a positive. All right. We're going to subtract them because they're different signs, and we're going to get positive 6y. And we cannot simplify any farther because an x term is not like a y term, so they're unlike terms, and that's our answer. Let's go back to our notes over here, and let's look at example 4. All right, example 4, as you're going to see, is one with parentheses, so we want to look at that one. And remember, when you have parentheses, you have to clear the parentheses first, and you do that by the distributive property. So if you have 8 times x minus 6, you're going to have to multiply each term inside the parentheses by the 8. So we're going to have 8 times x, which of course is 8x. 8 times negative 6, because of the sign in front, is negative 48. And over here you're going to distribute the positive 3. So you're going to have positive 3 times 2x, which is positive 6x, and positive 3 times 5, which is positive 15. Now that we've cleared parentheses, you can combine like terms. You cannot start combining like terms when they're inside the parentheses, because this is not just x, it's 8 times x. So you have to clear parentheses first. All right, over here we have 8x plus 6x, which of course is 14x. And then we have negative 48 and positive 15. Those are different signs, so you're going to subtract them and take the sign of the larger number, which would be negative, so it would be negative 33. So you're going to have 14x minus 33. Now in example 5 here, this is another one where we're going to distribute. But let's do this one on the blackboard over here. Okay, on example 5 here, we have parentheses, but we also have more signs here, and so you have to be very careful about your signs. On the first set of parentheses, you are distributing a negative 2. So you're going to have negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6. And then you're going to have negative 2 times a negative 2r. Remember, the sign in front goes with the term. Negative 2 times negative 2r would be a positive, so I'm going to indicate that with the plus 4r. So watch your signs there carefully. A negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, over here we have to distribute a negative 3. You have to take the sign in front of the 3. So that's going to be a negative 3 times r, which is negative 3r. And we're going to have negative 3 times positive 4, which is a negative 12. Now we can see if we have any like terms, and we have the r's, and we have some numbers. Now usually in algebra we write our variable and then the number. So I'm going to go ahead and combine my positive 4r and then the minus 3r. 4r minus 3r is 1r. You can write 1r or you can just write r. And then you're going to have negative 6 and negative 12 because you have to take the sign in front. And that's going to combine together to give you negative 18. Okay, let's look at one more example here where we have a negative in front of the parentheses. Now most students get confused and they want to distribute the 4 or the s, but you have to look at what is directly in front of the parentheses is a negative sign, which really means a negative 1. So we're going to distribute that negative sign first. And if you want to write a 1 right here, you can. You can write a 1 in front of the parentheses. So we'll do that. So you're going to have a 1 right here, and that's going to be negative 1 times s, which is negative 1s, or just negative s. And then you're going to have negative 1 times negative 5. Remember, a negative times a negative makes a positive. Now, you have to bring down the 4s. You're not doing anything with the 4s. You're just going to bring it down, and we distributed the negative sign, which means we've cleared the parentheses. Another way to look at it is the negative sign is just going to change everything on the inside. So the inside s changes to negative s, and the negative 5 is going to change to a positive 5. Now all we have is 4s minus 1s, which is 3s, and plus 5. We cannot go any farther. We cannot combine these together because they're not like terms, and that would be our final simplified answer.